it off as we go. But everybody has curiosity. We all do. Superpowers are those things that only a few people have. So that's not curiosity. But we do have superpowers. I'm going to tell you that we do. We have the ability to heal. I don't know about walking on water. I haven't figured that out yet, but we have the ability to do things that other people don't know yet that they can do. And maybe it's our curiosity that will lead us to figure out how to do things that we don't yet know how to do. So even though curiosity as a superpower is not ringing any resonant bells with me, I'm kind of sort of going to talk about it. The whole point then was about the grain of sand in the pearl. You put a grain of sand in the pearl, according to the way I grew up, knowing that a grain of sand in the pearl, in the oyster, would then allow the oyster to secrete stuff because that grain of sand irritated it, and that caused the pearl. Okay, my curiosity says, who figured out that oysters could be irritated? I mean, I want to know the science behind how do we get oysters that are irritated? You know, I couldn't find that. But when I Googled something about oysters and irritation, what it said was, it's not sand. It's some kind of little bitty worm, a drill worm or whatever, that goes through the outside of the shell into the inside. And the oyster does its bit with the secreting whatever that stuff is that causes around it to do it. But it's not sand. We've been misled all these years. So I'm just telling you, curiosity led me to go Google that. And I was like, oh my gosh. Huh. Surya Das, a Buddhist spiritual teacher, said the pearl principle is if there's no inner irritation, there's no pearl. Whether it's caused by a little worm or a grain of sand, if we don't have an inner irritation, we don't have a pearl. Perhaps if we don't have curiosity, we won't have one either. So the first point about this talk was about the grain of sand and the pearl. And the second one is about fire and passion to reveal God's highest idea through us. So the highest idea would be the pearl through the mechanism of the oyster. Sometimes change or new ideas cause us to be irritated. Yeah, we don't like change very well, do we? Is anybody out there a proponent of, I want to change now? Yeah, when it's bad, then I want to change. But if things are just coasting along, not so much. Pema Chodron said, the feelings of irritation, resentment, and anger, instead of being bad news, are actually clear moments that teach us where we're holding back. Change opens us up to new depths within our lives. And deep within every one of us, there is something eternal happening. We don't get to stay in this comfortable place forever. Something's going to change. If we just keep on in the same path, doing the same things, the world is going to pass us by because everybody else is doing something different, something new. But there is that within each and every one of us that is our thing to do. And we don't always know what it is. In fact, most of the time, or at least most of the time, I don't know what mine is. I've been working on this for years, trying to figure out what it is that's mine to do. So yesterday morning at Toastmasters, one of my friends gave a talk about leadership. And he talked about two people from the Bible. And one of the stories seemed to apply here. So I'm going to relate this story from the Bible to you. It's about Gideon. It's from the book of Judges, if you're familiar with the Bible at all. And if you're not, I don't care. The story will work either way. In the book of Judges, the events are this. The Israelites lived in peace while loving and serving God. And then they forgot God and they worshiped idols. And then God punished his people by sending others from the surrounding area in to fight and rule over them. And then the Israelites turned back to God and asked for forgiveness. And God forgave his people and saved them by sending a judge. That was their word for it. I don't know what the Hebrew word is, really, to help conquer the enemy. And there's a whole another metaphysical talk in just that piece about how we do things over and over again, and we expect different results. But if we get in this pattern of, oh, well, let's do it this way, let's eat healthy. We can eat healthy, and we eat healthy for 6 months, lose a little weight, feel great. And then we sneak back in the twink. You know, I could go on and on about the metaphysical part of doing things over and over again. But the story about Gideon. So the Israelites did evil. And for 7 years, the Lord, according to the Bible, had all these Midianites from around that laid waste their land and came in and took their animals and killed them or whatever. I mean, it was not a good situation. And so they asked God for help, and he sent a prophet to chastise them and tell them, you're not doing good. And then he sent an angel to Gideon and said, the Lord is with you, mighty warrior. We've heard this Lord is with you part before. And Gideon said, if the Lord's with us, then why is all this junk going on? And the angel said, go in the strength that you have and save Israel. I'm going to tell you, you have a strength inside you. I don't know what it is. And you don't have to save Israel. You just have to save you. Do what it is that God's inspiring you to do. And Gideon says, and I'm sure if somebody walked up to me and said, you know, somebody walked in the door and said, okay, God is with you, go do the good. You know, I'm going, who are you and why do I think that you're the thing? And Gideon says, my clan is the weakest. I'm the least in my family. And the Lord says, I'll be with you all the way. Wait, Gideon says, show me a sign. But wait, before you do that, let me go get something to honor you. So he goes off and gets a fatted calf or goat or something like that, and some broth and something else, some bread, and puts it on the rock in front of the angel. And the angel stirs it with a staff and it blows up fire in the sky. Okay, I guess I'll believe now that this is really an angel. Yeah. So he built an altar right there, called it the Lord of Peace. And that night, the angel came to him and said, take your father's second bull, the one that's been there 7 years, tear down your father's altar to Baal and the Ashereth pole that's beside it, and build a new altar to the Lord your God in its place, and offer the bull as an offering. Okay, Gideon was a good follower. He did what he was told to do, but he was a little scared of what his father would do, so he did it at night. So the next morning, the dad gets up, the family's all like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? That's terrible. We got to put him to death. And the father says, wait a minute, if that altar to this false god Baal, if he's really a god, let him take care of punishing Gideon. And of course, nothing happened. So Gideon began to gather all these armies together because he was told he was going to defeat these Midianites. So he gathered a whole bunch of people, 30,000 men. But God said, That's too many. That's too many men. Now there's about 100,000 people that he's trying to conquer. So 30,000 is too many. So he told them, those that were afraid could go home. And 10,000 of them left. Oh, 20,000 of them left. So he's got 10,000 left. And God said, nope, 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 that's still too many. Send home all of them but 300. And with 300 people, he managed, with God's help, to throw out the Midianites and take back the Israel area for the Israelites to live in. The whole point of the long story is that God listened to the voice. Gideon listened to the voice of God. Sometimes he asked for a sign, but he did what he was told. How many of us take the time to even listen to God? Do we get still? Do we open our minds and heart and say, what is it that's mine to do? I'm not thinking we all do, but we could. And that's what this whole second point is about, is that there's something inside of us for us to do. Change opens us to new depths within. Its continual inner movement makes us aware of the eternity that hides behind the outer facade of our lives. Deep within every life, there is something eternal happening. From John O'Donohue. Third point, be the change you want to see in the world. Okay. If we want to see peace, we need to be peace. If you want to see love in your life, you need to be love. If you want friends, you got to be a friend. So instead of just, I'm going to take the friend example, instead of just sitting at home going, oh, nobody likes me, oh, nobody likes me, pick up your phone, punch in the number of somebody that you know and say, would you like to go to lunch? Reach out. Reach out, because you don't know that somebody might be sitting at home going, oh, nobody loves me, just as much as you are. We can change our thoughts, but we cannot change them all in a moment. We can change them all, I think, if we keep working at it, but they don't all happen overnight. They're slow. At least mine, I don't often remember, oh, I'm changing my thought from this to that until I've already done this out loud. And then I'm going, wait, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean to think that. So now I have to reprogram my mind, my brain again. There are whole bunches of quotes that go along with this particular piece. We do not change all of the patterns of our thought in a moment. Rather, it takes place little by little until gradually the old thought patterns become transformed into new ones by some inner alchemy of the mind. Ernest Holmes. Nature will not let us stay in any one place too long. Nature demands change in order that we may advance. When the change comes, we should welcome it with a smile on our lips and a song in our heart. That doesn't always work, does it? Some of that change is like, and if we wait and not get upset at the change, it's entirely possible that just a few days or even hours, certainly weeks or months, we can see the good in that change, even though it wasn't necessarily good in the moment, or to feel good in the moment. Never underestimate the valuable and important difference you make in every life you touch, for the impact you make today has a powerful rippling effect on every tomorrow. Leon Brown. I love that. Whatever you do has an effect. Whoever you talk to has an effect. Whatever you say has an effect. Goes out from us. So I put my seatbelt on in my car on my way over here, and I buckled it up and I put it in the car in reverse at the garage door open. And I said, as I buckle my seatbelt, surrounding myself with love and safety and sending peace and love out into the world from my car as I go. And it worked. I got here just fine. I do that every time I buckle my seatbelt because it's a good place, a good time. It's a good thing to remind myself always to be radiating peace, because not all those drivers out there are. And I want to be a presence of peace and love in the world. It starts with me. Buckminster Fuller said, you can never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. And Barack Obama said, change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. Be the change that you seek. What is it that you want? What is it that you want to see? Peace, joy, love, energy? Be it. It's right here. All the qualities of God are right here. And I'm not the only one that has them. So you could put your hands on your heart and know that you are all those qualities of God as well, not just me. It's kind of exciting to think, I have all the peace that I need. And I have all the love, all the joy, all the happiness, all the energy, all the time that I need. It's an interesting one time. When I was going through ministerial school, actually before I even started ministerial school, I was going through taking classes for practitioner training. And the minister then in the church in Oklahoma City, Marty Bacher, said, there's all the time in the world. Just take what you need and know that it'll always be there, that you will always have enough time. And he said it so sincerely, because I was like, how are you going to drive back to Dallas, pick up blah, 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 and get back to, because he was moving in. He's going, it's all the time in the world. And I thought to myself, well, that is a good thing to know. And I have convinced myself over the years that there's always enough time for me to get everything done that needs to be done. I don't have to hurry. I don't have to rush. I don't have to be excited or anxious about it. It's always there. So the change that I see in my life came from that chance statement about there's always enough time. And I shifted my pattern of belief. And there's always enough time. It always works that way. And I can get frantic about, oh my gosh, I got to have all these articles for the newsletter, but they'll all show up or something else will show up. Chris Gardner said, the world is your oyster. It's up to you to find the pearls. Now, you know that you can't open the oyster and put a grain of sand in and get a pearl. But apparently you could do parasites into the water. And they have oysters that they don't kill the oyster, they're to grow pearls. So they put the irritant in the water and the oysters grow, and they harvest the pearls and put the oysters back and let them grow more. It's like, that's a very interesting thing, because I thought in my naivety, that's the way you pronounce that, that as soon as you open the oyster, it's dead. Well, apparently that's not the truth either. I just learned so much with all my curiosity and Google. So the whole point here is don't ignore things that make you uncomfortable. Don't make excuses for it. Don't make excuses for why it's there or why you can't change it. Bring it up and look at it. Bring it into your consciousness, bring it into your heart, and begin working on it with whatever you have in you. Send it a little peace. Send it a lot of love. Whatever this irritation is. And if you send irritations love, they usually don't hang around irritating very much. They just kind of sort of melt away. So my work, once I realize this, is to hold in consciousness that the shift that I'm looking for has already happened. I have all the time in the world, but the shift has already happened. Okay, you want prayer now or prayer later? Prayer now feels good. Okay, so let's take a moment, take a breath, close your eyes if you feel comfortable about closing them, and do not if you don't. When I take a deep breath, that allows me to center who I am, recognizing that there is only God. Only God. God is everywhere. It's in everything. It's in all the galaxies throughout the night sky and more beyond. It's in every single cell of every animal, of every plant, every drop of water in the ocean, in the seas, in the rivers, in the clouds in the sky. God is all life. And that power that is God is in everything. And the creative power that is God is in everything too. It's what causes those daffodils to begin putting the little stems up in the February weather. Crocuses are beginning to come through the ground. That's the power of God. The power of God is what's moving my mouth at this moment, air moving across my diaphragm, making noises that you can interpret or not, ignore or listen to. The power that is God is moving through me in this moment. And so I speak my word for myself. And if it resonates with you, you can take these words as your own. Because God is all there is. There's only one of us here. It is God. And so I know for myself that curiosity leads me to learn all kinds of things. And it's a power that everyone has. It allows me to look at those pieces within myself where I'm questioning, or the things that I see outside of me that I'm questioning, and bring into my thoughts, into my awareness, and examine, what is it? Why is it showing up in this moment? What can I learn from it? What is it that's mine to do? How do I change my thoughts around it? I know I don't change it. I only change my perception of it. And I know that as Gideon was able to ask God for help, I am able to ask the divine that is within me to clarify for me what is mine to do. How do I go about it? And I know that I always have the right and perfect guide showing me. And so I absolutely give thanks for knowing this truth of myself as a divine being. And so I release this prayer into the law that only says yes to my word, knowing it is done here and complete. And we affirm it together by saying, and so it is.
Thank you, Reverend Suellen.